My name is Tarik. Welcome to Thorin's YouTube channel.
It's now official that Tarik, the Cloud9 player, has left that team and joined MiBR, made in Brazil, the team with coldzera, Fallen for, and obviously his former teammate, Stewie2K, who he'll be reuniting with. He leaves Cloud9, joins this MiBR squad, replacing Bolts, who no one knows quite yet what will be happening yet with, but obviously was the player who already was scheduled to potentially leave the squad a few months back when they were trying to get Simple and Flamey. It was going to be a package deal from Natus Fincer, which basically was all but done. But in the end, Natus Fincer, the org, pulled back, and so they ended up letting Taco go. They got Stewie2K, and they ended up not removing Bolts at that point in time. So, as is tradition, we'll break it down, starting with the team that Tarik's leaving, which is Cloud9, and we'll say, is letting Tarik go from Cloud9 a good move on Cloud9's part? Now, people may expect me to immediately say, of course not. How could it be? He's a good player. He's probably a better player than they're going to be able to replace him with. So how could it be a good move? But there is one angle or a couple of ways of looking at it by which it can be a good thing for Cloud9 and might even indeed be the right move for them overall. So I would say that you can start with the fact that I think that when they got into this rut, ever since Stewie2K left, where they couldn't find the right players to bring in, they couldn't reformulate the composition of players they had in the team, or find a winning style, or get anywhere close to being an elite level team again, like the team that won the major and was having all those top 4 placings at the end of last year. I think that Tarik was one of the reasons why they were unable to transition. I think he was an impediment to starting over again. Because first of all, as you have seen since his time in Optic Gaming through to his time now in Cloud9, even if he isn't the in-game leader at that point in time, he is always waiting in the wings if he doesn't like the way things are being done to take over the reins as the in-game leader, to take that job back, whether temporarily or not. And I think that that has been an impediment because those kinds of players, when they do that, where they don't really want to be the in-game leader, but they'll do it sometimes, that's the sort of player where I actually think all they do is delay you from making the hard choice of where you're going to get a real in-game leader from. Because they'll say they'll do it for a month or two, but they're not going to do it for like a year. And so when they give up, you're going to have to start that quest anyway. You've just delayed it further back. So if you can get really good results in the meantime, like win a major, cool, that's fine. But if you do it during these periods when you're in a down slump anyway and things aren't going well and then the results aren't good, you're just spinning your wheels, you're just treading water. You're going to have to make those hard choices anyway. And in this scenario, you've even lost one of the players you would have wanted in your team, but not as the in-game leader. So I actually think he's a player who, unless he has a really talented squad of players, is not suited to be in-game leader. He already does a very loose style, just seems to play the way he individually likes to play, fairly scrimmy, play on the outskirts of the map, spread out, just swap between the sites, use your utility largely to fake people out and go to the other side, take gun battles, push through smokes. I think generally that style's only going to work if you've got a lot of skill and, quite frankly, a lot of players who know the role that they're playing and know how to play it and are somewhat self-directed, aren't going to be micromanaged. And so I think the fact that he flip-flops in and out even of the good teams as the in-game leader, I mean, he's not really suited to doing that role. So in a world in which he was still able to exert that control, that's what I saw as an impediment to Cloud9 moving on and transitioning into a post-Stewie2K era, but having success, not just being an also-ran. Because I do think that Tarik was part of the issue with when they brought in FNS. I know he has history with FNS, so people might think, oh no, they should have worked together really well. I think this is one of the problems, is that he didn't buy into FNS's system. He didn't think it was very good. He didn't think FNS had the right mentality. He didn't have wasn't cut out, didn't have the chops to be the in-game leader of a team like Cloud9 and lead them to a world-class level again. Maybe he's supposed to stay on a tier 2 level and just be a good in-game leader there where the lesser players aren't going to question you. Because quite frankly, if based on everything I've heard, everyone I've talked to, thinking it through myself, if I have to give ultimate blame in the situation to someone of the FNS situation not working, sure, I can blame Cloud9, not necessarily giving him full free reign. The players in the team not giving him enough time, jumping in there, not supporting his system. But you know what? I have to ultimately put the blame and the responsibility on FNS. It seems to me like he was too much of a pussy. He came in, he thought, what, do we have to just wait a while, guys, and do things temporarily? Oh, well, I'll get my chance eventually, right? No, you come in and you do your shit. You do what you're going to do. Otherwise, you say, my way or the highway, and I'm off. And so he didn't do that. He ended up on the way out. But I think Tarik was a catalyst to help him usher out the door when he realized that it wasn't going to work. So I think Cloud9, the one upside for them losing Tarik, they can't replace him as a player, very likely, unless they go and raid Team Liquid, maybe steal NRG players, moves that absolutely are far from guaranteed in a modern day where Cloud9's actually like the fourth best NA team and aren't even vaguely close to the level of those teams and don't necessarily have the finances to outbid those players. Those are pretty well-established teams. So the good thing is, though, they can start fresh. Look at the players you've got left. Automatic, very malleable player who seemingly can play with a lot of different players. You've got Rush, a guy who'll just do his job. Soldier, good mentality. Skadoodle, not a very good player anymore, far from an impact player, but you know what? Someone who can do a job, is a veteran, has a quiet personality, so he's not going to clash with people. You can chuck a couple of players in there, maybe international players, and you can start from scratch and build an entirely new Cloud9 that is nothing like the Stu2K, Scrimmy, Push Through Smokes era, then switching over to the Tarik era, a different style of scrimmy play, and playing off individual skill with even more individual skill. You can swap away from that entirely and make a brand new Cloud9. You've got the sort of supportive elements, or it can be a star player, put in some big names there, some veteran experience, some star players, and you could start fresh. Because you look at it, there's 3 teams now that I've seen be good in the context of NA, even good, some of them bordering on good to very good internationally, who've all gone to shit under Tarik's watch. That's CLG. Remember the end of CLG in 2016 when it was a complete joke of a team that were never going to do anything. He was just waiting out his contract. People were going in on him. I even actually supported him on a number of occasions in that situation. But the team went to shit on his watch. Then he came to HawpT. Okay, HawpT came in. It was a bit of a mess of a team. People in and out of the lineup. Had a great period of success towards the end of 2016. They came into 2017, lost Stanislaw. Team went to shit, had a solid 6 months where they just did nothing. They had the odd decent run, like making top 8 at Cologne, where Tarik took over as in-game leader, and they won one map. I think it was Train, right? Against SK Gaming. That was actually one of the trivia questions I asked at ESL 1 Cologne 2018 when we were doing all those fan questions. But that team just went to shit. They still had Tarik, they still had Rush, they still had Mixwell, they had some fabulous players in that team. Why was it going to shit? And now we've had Cloud9, a team that still has Rush, still has Skadoodle, has Tarik. What more do you want? Has Automatic, has everyone except 2K, and yet they're appalling. They haven't done anything, they haven't made any forward movement, and they've really degraded even with that core and not been able to do anything close to it. So that is worrying to me, especially because those latter 2 teams, HawpT and Cloud9, featured him as the in-game leader during the times when the team was also going to shit. So that's a bit of a worrying sign for me. It feels like he has to have the talent, otherwise he's not a very effective player himself. So for Cloud9, I have no idea what they do right now. Quite frankly, unless they can put massive bids out in NA, I think they should be going international. It's the only way they're going to get players of comparable skill and who actually have something left in the tank and can do great things. I don't see how they're going to do it with NA players unless they're willing to spend big time, because they don't have the advantages that the Cloud9 org used to have, or having the players that people are desperate to play with. They don't have any of those players left at this point in time, except maybe Automatic. And even then, he seems like someone who actually, for as much of a nice guy as he might appear, doesn't seem like he has that great sort of relationships forged with players and other teams that would want to come and play with him. He doesn't seem like that sort of a guy. It seems like something that actually the Stu2Ks and the Tariks of the world were doing within that squad before. So one last thing on the Cloud9 topic is that the reason why it's a killer to me to lose Tarik now is because before Tarik joined the team, Stu2K was the clear talismanic player. It doesn't mean the best player, but it means the player who sort of like, he's the one who's guiding the direction of your org, who you need to have that special quality in the style of play that's going to make you as good as you can be. It was Stu2K before Tarik. When Tarik joined, I actually thought he took that over from Stu2K. Not only took over the leadership mantle of being the in-game leader, but he implemented a new style of updated version of what Stu2K did, but his Stu2K's version had run into a brick wall, couldn't get past a certain level. Sure, he had lesser players. Tarik, with a bit more talent in terms of players, and a player like Stu2K who has a similar mentality, was able to elevate that style, win a major, have a lot more international top 4s, have a really great run of form generally. And so I think actually for me, that's why I'm so disappointed with the post-Stewie era. I felt as though they should have been able to do something in that squad. They were still a very vital squad in terms of having some talent, so they just didn't make use of it all. So now they lost Stu2K and Tarik, I don't know where they go with that. Oh, that's why I say you got to start over. Now, I've got to call bullshit on both the org and the players here. Like, if these guys really believed that when they won the major, and by the way, right after the major, I believe is when they all re-signed new contracts, long contracts with better salaries. If they really believed in themselves, that we were a great team of all time, and this wasn't a fluke fluke when we win that major? I've had arguments with some of the players who claim it wasn't a fluke. Wasn't a fluke that we won that major. We did it. We were the best on that day. We were the best at that time. We were the right team to win. We believed in ourselves. People hated on us, said Team Liquid was better. You didn't believe in yourselves. You're the ones who left the team. You let this lineup break up. You didn't believe in yourselves. SK's a team falling apart. Why the fuck are you guys going and joining their team? Your team was better. You won the fucking major. You were outplacing them in tournaments. But you go and join their team. You hop on their bandwagon, do you? I don't believe it. I think that deep down you know that it wasn't the case, and that all those losses after the major got to you, is it eroded your own confidence. And guess what? The guy who was saying he believed that is either just a guy nostalgically looking far back in time with binoculars at that point in time, or someone lying to himself, deluding himself. I don't think the org believed that core could go anywhere. I don't think the core believed that they could go anywhere. And they've proven my point for me. So I actually don't see at this point in time how they go forwards. What direction do they have to become a top team again? What is their strategy to getting the right team together to become a top squad? Who the fuck knows? They've let all the key pieces go except one, basically, which is automatic, right? Now, SK Gaming. First and foremost, removing Bolts, replacing him with Tarik. I think that removing Bolts is the right move. If you look at him as a player, I think he is still a good player. I think he's a player who has something of a well-rounded skill set. But I think that the way he was used and the way he's being used in the last 6 months of this team is a fucking joke and is atrocious. And I think everyone in charge of running that team should be ashamed on account of how Bolts has played and how he has been unable to respond to the call of being in a top team. Some of it could be on him. I'm not going to buy that at all, as though I've seen this guy play in other teams and be a good player and be a contributing factor and not have all this pressure upon him and be left out as the scapegoat, whether intentionally or unintentionally. So his confidence is wrecked completely. He's completely done. You look at the fact that not only as a player has he fallen apart, but he doesn't seem to fit this type of a team. I think it's actually amazing when you look back now that they won those 3 tournaments in the end of 2017 with him. I would imagine probably simply due to the fact that they were so overjoyed at getting rid of Phelps and his ego, because by the way, low-key, Phelps does have an ego and still has had for the past couple of years, and in a very weird sense. It's not an ego like argumentative or berating people. It's arrogance. It's actually arrogance and a feeling of entitlement and thinking that when you get to the top, right, I'm at the top now, bro. So, like no one can talk shit to me. It's like, come on, man. Like there's a certain mentality you got to have if you're going to be part of a team where you can believe you're the best, you can believe you're really good, etc. But you got to be able to work with your teammates. You got to be able to improve. You got to be able to overcome mistakes that you make. You got to be able to adapt and switch it up when your style no longer works. And was he able to do that? The sense you get from their players is no. And so it makes sense that he moved on from the squad. In comes Bolts, a really quiet, mild-mannered guy, has just had the nightmare of the Immortals team collapsing, so he just wants a good home to be in. Now he's in one of the best teams in the world. What, we're winning our first few tournaments? I can see why initially the honeymoon period was awesome, but it went to shit and became a nightmare marriage where this guy's the fucking battered housewife in that scenario, and I'm glad he's getting out as a result. Now then, in terms of adding Tarik, there's a lot of angles from which this is a good move. So first of all, it helps with Stewie 2K on a bunch of different fronts. First of all, you're going to have less people misunderstanding Stewie 2K's English because Bolts was one of the players who seemingly had the most problems speaking in English in that sense, and with his role needed a lot of communication seemingly. I also think that's part of why Bolts' game fell apart. He's another player who needs really good comms to have comfort and not have those nerve issues. Then you got to look at the fact that I think that this is going to help Stewie 2K's confidence and comfort within the team. He's no longer an outsider who's just coming into the squad where 4 of them won championships without him, and he's just coming in and now they're not winning shit. And it's like, what, am I the problem? Fuck, like all the expectation levels. Now he's got Tarik with him, someone he's rode with before, someone who's got a similar mentality to him in terms of playing the game. I think that will help him out. As I say, he has played with Stewie 2K before, so hopefully if they're going to go towards a more loose style and make use of all the fabulous amount of skill they've got in the team now, where every player has been a star player of some squad in the past year or two, hopefully that's going to help Stewie 2K out as well. They both have a similar mentality for that scrimmy, loose style of play. I do think that Tarik is a good player, but I've never thought he was a fabulous player. I've never thought he was like a top 10 player, top 20 player in the world. I've always thought he was just a good player, and for me, he's a really solid second star or third best player in your team. That's the best spot for him. So in this squad, sure, you could say he could play that role, but is he going to? Is he going to become the Phelps, the Fallen, or whatever of this team? Probably not, right? It still feels like it's going to be coldzera's team. Is Fur going to step back that much? Certainly could. We know he's done the past. Fallen seems willing to step back, but are they at their best when those players step back? Probably not, right? If anything, that you kind of wasted their talent. So I don't really know where they fit all the styles in this team, bringing Tarik and his strengths in. But okay, he has good skills, admittedly erratic. He's not very consistent. He has a weird mentality in mind for the game. Like, I've seen him make a lot of really weird misplays, but then again, he does a lot of really unorthodox pushes and kind of timing attacks that I also don't think come from like a super cerebral understanding of the game, but work. I think he makes his style work for him. That's the thing, though. I think if you have Tarik in your team, you got to have a pretty loose, pretty scrimmy style. You got to be able to play. Hopefully you need some anchor pieces like the Rushes of the world, like a Mixwell Skadoodle, but then you want to let someone like Tarik go wild, like he did in Optic, like he did in Cloud9 when they were at their best. For me, it's the style that's the biggest issue here. The team balance in all the past SK teams I thought was fantastic in terms of having supportive elements, having people who played consistently, and then having some players who play aggressively, having some players who play off skill, and therefore using a little bit of communication. We've seen some players, the fantastic individual play elsewhere, and I thought that well-rounded nature is what made them so hard to beat, because it meant that they had different ways to beat you in a game. They didn't have to go one way or another, and they could go all over the map pool as a result and get wins on maps they had no right getting wins on. Problem is, you look at the team now, I feel like sticking with English, bringing in another scrimmy player, one less Brazilian player, one less supportive player, in fact, no supportive players left in the team, makes this a clear one direction to victory for this team. You must go to a very open, FaZe Clan-esque style of play. You got to play like you are just a FaZe Clan. All these skilled players, we're going to play very simple Counter-Strike. We're going to hit the sites that make sense. We're going to build up a nice pattern, keep hitting the spawns that make sense, throw them off a little bit, but generally, even if someone knows we're coming on the site, we don't have full utility, amazing smokes, we're going to know that we're going to hit the amazing entry shots, we're going to win the aim duels, we're going to win the post plant, an individual play unleashed, but at the same time, in some sense, harmonized is what's hopefully going to win us the match. If they go forwards in that sense, sure. I think the talent is in this team that, just like the old lineup were bolts, you look at it on paper and you're like, how can they keep placing so badly? Because they were stuck in no man's land. They were halfway between trying to do some sort of tactical, real Counter-Strike style that they've been playing for years before, and a loose style and just play off each other, and they never found which one made more sense. And all the top teams in the world have a very defined style of play that the players fit within. Even if a player himself doesn't fit that style, he is the little bit of white in the black part of the yin-yang symbol, and there's a balance as a result, but generally you're weighted towards one style. So the problem here is if they win, it's going to be a very different style from the past. Because even when you won with Phelps and Fur and Cold Zero, all these players fragging out their minds, you still had someone like Fallen to win clutches. You still had Taco to do a lot of what we call the bitch work, just have to do all the shit rolls that no one wants to do. You still had these players. Cold Zero as a superstar generally adds in what you'd expect actually from someone like a Rain or a Crims, who generally isn't going to be a superstar player beyond the numbers, but the style of play that they play is more of a team style and facilitates everyone else. So they had enough to cheat over on that style before. I don't think they have any of that now. So my main issue now is I feel like they have to completely, and they're pushing themselves away from all their past strengths. That slow, like communication-based style, fantastic team play between particular synergies of players, the ability to break down advanced concepts outside of the game, take the seeds of that into the game, and everyone understand what we're going to do in reference to that and what the flow chart of what the moves are. I don't see how any of that continues on. So first and foremost, the player I'm initially worried for is Cold Zero. I mean, he's the best player in the team. He's always been the best player in the team, quite frankly. He now has no pieces around him who will emphasize his strengths as a player, who will give him the communication, the reads to make. Sure, he has a lot of aggressive players he can play off, but is that going to be ideal for him? I don't know right now. I don't know if that means that he has to be a good player, but not as good as he was before in terms of carrying them. Where are the supportive elements in this team? This puts even more pressure, in my opinion, on Fallen. Everyone might like to think because Fallen's won more titles, that makes him a better in-game leader than Karrigan. We'll find out now, because now he's got a Karrigan-type team. Let's see who's better. It's a totally different style of in-game leading. Karrigan's style of in-game leading is completely different ballpark, totally different skill set, working with totally different tools than a Fallen or a Glaive. And so as a result, judge them according to their kind. You don't judge them according to each other as if it was some absolute sense that you could just compare directly what they're doing. They're doing two very different things. There's a lot of players can run a great tactical system, but can't deal with the egos, can't deal with the big, all the kind of the big guns, as it were, and having all the expectations. You must win every game because you've got the best players. What excuses do you have now if you're falling as in-game leader? None, right? You've got all the pieces to win majors and everything at this point in time. So I think that's a big concern for me. That's one of the reasons why I don't really get the sense immediately that this is going to work and be a great move. Has the potential to be, but they've got to reformulate. It's got to be something I haven't seen from SK, now MiBR. In terms of the map pool, that's one place they've immediately got to get going, because I feel like with this sort of a team, this sort of skill set and balance of players, Inferno, Cache, those can still be great maps for you. But and by the way, Tarik was a great Inferno player, actually, especially on the T side, something of like an entry / second man in. Seems to be very good at having a good feel for when to attack the other site. I think in that sense, he can help them and make them better on that map. The two maps I see that they've got to heavily go towards have got to be Dust 2 and Mirage. Dust 2, a map not a lot of people are playing at the moment. A map there's still a lot of room to be great on. Mirage, a map everyone plays in theory, but a map that in theory could suit this scrimmy style of play on the T side, on the CT side, play a pressure game. I could see those being the maps that they expand out with the Inferno of Cache, and then all of a sudden they have a workable map pool. Because the map pool in MiBR before was a fucking disgrace for the last 3 to 4 months, and they would get some of their wins on other maps. Only, quite frankly, because A, people didn't ban the maps they wanted to play, and then the other maps, they just went out on skill and had people like coldzera carry the game. That is not being good on those maps. Now, one last thing I want to do, and this is rare that I do this, because usually you expect people to do their fucking bullshit statement where they say, I love all my teammates, and yeah, I'm sorry to be leaving the team. Normally, right, I ignore that. But this particular one, I want to take a moment out now to break it down a bit and show why I despise statements like this. And by the way, like Tarik as a person, get along with him pretty well, talk to him numerous times. It's not about him as a person, I just hate this sort of statement. So let's have a quick look at this here, shall we? So what I'll do is, for the moment, I'll just make this smaller so that you can all read it. So he says, this is Tarik speaking, to be completely honest, I thought Cloud9 would be the last team I compete under. Stop right there. Why isn't, mate? I mean, you're not going to give any reasons right now in this statement, I've read it already, that would explain why it's not the last team you play under. All you do is explain what a wonderful team it is, what wonderful teammates you have, that you won the major, that it was legit, no one can take it away from you. Then why are you leaving? Why even start with that comment? Why even imply, oh, you know what? I loved you guys. Wish I could have stayed here forever. Oh, cool. Well, we'd love you to stay as well. So stay, mate. Yeah, but I'm not going to. Well, then, do you really wish that? No, it sounds like you wish actually to leave more than you wish to stay. So, okay, back in we go. They are an amazing organization that truly went above and beyond my expectations. Why are you leaving then? Why don't they go above and beyond your expectations, get the players you need, reboot? You still got a number of the players that won that championship. Well, yeah, just stick around. Say a win, you love them, right? You don't want to leave. You do, though, don't you? This is all just nonsense fucking bullshit that you say to make Cloud9 and Jack feel good, right? Many people are unaware of what goes on behind the scenes, but I really want to make clear that Cloud9 does all they can for their players. Great. It's very difficult for me to make this decision, but I'm confident that we will meet again at the top. Why even add that part there? If they're going to get to the top again, and you love all your teammates, and it's a special org that you love that took really good care of you, why aren't you staying to join them on that journey to the top? You don't believe they're going to get to the top again. That's why you're leaving, homie. You've seen this team. It's fucking garbage. It's gone completely downhill. You have no clue what to do. You let your boy FNS come in. You had to usher him straight out the back door because he was looking like a fucking clown. And now you've realised it's all gone to shit. And even a team as bad as MiBR, busted up like MiBR, oh, bleeding, oh, used to be somebody, a contender. It's like, yeah, all right, mate, you're fucking punch drunk is what you are. So even a team like that, you're willing to just go and instantly hop on that bandwagon with coldzera, fallen for multiple time champions, major winners, because you believe Cloud9's going to get back to the top again. Bullshit. You might hope they do. Fair enough. The idea that I'm confident we will. You're not confident, mate. If anything, your move tells me you are not confident. I guess this is going to be a straight roast to Tarik, actually. So fair enough. Let's get back in there. Tim, Tyler. Fucking hell. What does that say there? Soham. I assume that must be FNS's name. Soham. Is that really his name? Fucking Soham. This might just be too small. Soham. No, it is. It's Soham. Well, too bad he didn't go so fucking ham when he was in that team, mate. And Will are people that are much more than teammates to me. Nah, mate, actually all they are is teammates, and they're not brothers. They're not people that, you want to play with forever and have a very special connection with, because you are actively leaving their team. In some cases, more than once. Like, you're leaving these guys on the lurch, like, oh, I'll be out for cigarettes, see you later, and then they just never come back. Like, you're that deadbeat dad, mate. What the fuck are you talking about right now? Oh, I love my kids. Why do you live 400 miles away then, just slanging crack in some ghetto? Why don't you just do that back home? Bloody love my kids. I'm confident they'll meet me at the top of the crack game one day. Are you for real? Anyway, and I only wish them the best of luck moving forward. Yeah, they're going to fucking need luck, aren't they? All the good players are leaving, just bailing on them, who fucking love them. You and see to get, it was a legit win. They prove it to me then, motherfucker. You know how you prove something's legit? You prove it, you repeat it, you replicate it. You ever heard of science? You don't just do something once and go, well, that's the result. Don't ever need to run that again. You must replicate your studies, motherfucker. The first American team to win a major. No one can take that away from us. Nah, you know what? No one can. But you know what people can say forever now? That lineup was a fluke and that they weren't legit and that you won that as a one-off and that you were, much like the original Fnatic and DreamHack win in 2013 and Gambit, you were the fluke winners. And everyone else was a totally legit winner, one of the best teams in the world who won due to being the best, and you won due to being a fluke. Congrats. That's who you are. That's the legacy of that team. And you have now sealed that. Stu2K already put that somewhat in question. It would have been hard to rebuild anyway. But you still had the rest of the team. You could have brought in another really good player and proven it in a sense. You've done that now. That's over, mate. That ship's sailed. Unless you're all going to meet up on some other team when you get to the top there. Maybe you're going to hop from MiBR. Who the fuck knows, right? I guess this has turned into a mad roast. But to be fair, I can actually separate liking someone from just roasting stupid shit they said. So here we go. And also, this is actually mainly about the fact I hate these statements generally. It's not just Tarik. I'm just picking him as a particular, well, he's just my whipping boy for this one, isn't he? So, although this decision was incredibly hard on me, I can't help but say that I'm very excited to start working with my new teammates on MiBR. No shit. Was it that hard, was it? Was it really tough to leave a team that was doing dog shit and go to a team that's going to pay you more money, has better players on it, has won more historically, and has your other dude who fucking left? By the way, I noticed no NA fans are going to be like, ooh, snake Stewie, ooh, Tarik, what a fucking little snake he is. The way you all did to Snazore forever, right? Oh, it's cool for them to leave a major winning team and say, we still believe in it, don't ever talk shit on our team, but we don't believe in it, so we're out the back door, actually. Notice nobody talks shit on these players, but you're all just going to fucking wreck Snazore for leaving a team, which, by the way, if you knew some of the things going on internally, not even that crazy he left. You see the sort of fucking idiots that were in his team, right? And the way they think about the game. And they themselves have no fucking qualms about bailing out the back door when someone pulls up in a Corvette, like, want to go somewhere, Toots? Yeah, sure. Oh, my mother might not like me too. Fuck it. Run out there. Let's see, where is it here? The sole reason I want to make this change is simple. ... I want to win, and I will do anything in my power to make that happen. From that, we can now conclude that you wanted to win, so you couldn't do that in Cloud9. You're going to do anything in your power to make that happen, which means leave Cloud9. So I thought you said you were confident they'll make it back to the top again. They're all like special players, more than just teammates to you. The great org. You've already indirectly implied it. You've now essentially indirectly implied it even more strenuously. In fact, someone directly implied it, that you couldn't have won in Cloud9 and not with that core of players. And that in order to do anything it takes to win, you had to leave Cloud9. Think about it, mate. Think about what you're saying. Having the opportunity to play with the legendary core of SK. Wait a minute, you were in the legendary core Cloud9, mate. Raging major champions, reigning major champions. What, don't you believe in them? What was it? Was it a fluke? Was it not? Was being major champions not your legit state of mind, as it were? You weren't in a C9 state of mind. Oh, yeah. Interesting how that works, eh? Having the opportunity to play with the legendary core of SK and reunite with my former teammate is extremely thrilling for me. It won't be an easy road, nor do I think we will become the best team overnight. However, I'm willing to bet that we will make it work one way or another. One way or another, eh? Well, maybe if it doesn't work and you think they can't win, you could just go join another team and do anything it takes to win, right? To the fans, I hope that you will support me on this new path, because without you, none of this would be possible. And so the clouds settle over the horizon, and Immortal was bought. Fuck that, like, D-grade fucking Marvel movie lore right ending there. Like, obviously he's not much of a writer or a thinker, so we'll forgive him for that one. That was absolute garbage at the end. Maybe, I mean, obviously he couldn't put anything about being made in Brazil, could he? So I guess he fucked up his own branding on that one. In terms of the part where he says about, there won't be the best overnight, well, I mean, that goes out saying, that's all fairly reasonable. The point here is all these statements can't be true at once. And so these statements, when people make them, come on, man. There's so much bullshit involved there. Anyway, Tarik's joined MiBR. Let's have some new content. This video was kindly supported by Dean Tanglis, Gardner Wilson, Andreas Snazore Westerlund, Alex Adams, Daniel Yordanov, TTMXMP, VeXii, HawpT, Robert Baxter, and Travis Greb, with a special thanks going out to Jerky's Minion. Want teasers for my upcoming content? To ask a question for my monthly AMA? How about taking part in a discussion with me about esports? Or perhaps you want to suggest a topic or a guest for my content? Become a part of the Scrilluminati today at the Patreon link in the description box below.